faith stories.
My now wife Chelsea was like, "Hey, you're coming to church with me on Sunday," and I was like, "All right, I've been looking at the Bible. Let's do this."
Fishing memories.
When I first started, I was just fish, focus on the fish. And I see the kid catch a fish, I'm like, good job, perfect, awesome. And then he goes up there and I'm like, we're catching slot snook. And this kid's up here going, oh, the breeze. I'm like, this is exactly what it's about.
Meaningful conversations.
You have to stay in the Word. You have to have a good support system. You have to know what the end goal is. You have to know who God is.
Positivity. This is the Faith and Fishing Podcast. Your hosts, Cam Steele.
If your identity is you're an angler, whenever you're not doing well in the water, that's whenever you can't be content.
And Robert Randolph.
And his timing is perfect. We might not always agree with it, and we might not always understand it at the moment.
Bring you interviews with some amazing guests from the fishing community and discuss all things to do with fishing and their faith. Welcome to the faith.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Faith and Fishing Podcast. I'm Cam.
Hey, and I'm Robert.
And we have a really fun episode for you this week. Robert, how are you doing, man?
Man, doing good. Just plugging along. Glad to have some cooler weather. And wish we could have a little less rain. But I'm sure you're probably tired of that as well. We got doused the last few days. So doing pretty good overall. Haven't been out on the water, but maybe I'm going to this weekend. Maybe so.
I hear you. Yeah. We have been dealing with sick kids and all kinds of. You've been sick since our last episode. And we're dealing with ridiculous, a tropical storm that's not even named yet, just dumped 24 inches of rain on Southport, North Carolina. And like flooded schools that were not closed. And it was difficult for kids to get home. Just an absolute, like, Brunswick County in North Carolina does not have a major highway in or out because of the roads being washed away by this torrential rain that just came out of nowhere from this tropical storm that and it's not even a tropical storm, it's what potential tropical cyclone number whatever, because of Francine, like one of its bands grabbed this little tropical system and pulled it along with it. I mean, just ridiculous. But before all of that happened, I was able to get on the water since the last time we recorded, and that was a fun little trip because I got to spend some time standing up in the kayak and getting comfortable with that. I do think I'm going to be able to get the hang of something like a jerk bait, maybe a spook, something like that, standing up in the kayak. Definitely not going to be doing any kind of frogging or jig fishing or anything like that. This kayak is just not made for something like that, but being able to stand up and get a vantage point is huge.
Well, maybe you just need the different kind of kayak. Maybe you need one that's more stable. I'm just saying.
We will, you know what, we're going to get into that a little bit later, I believe. But yeah, I was able to get a nice fish punching, that's always a fun way to catch fish. So that was a lot of fun. I am also looking forward to the potential of taking Henry out. He's expressed a desire to go catfishing, so I'm gonna try to take him out this weekend and get a hold of a nice whisker covered catfish. So that'll be a lot of fun. But yeah, let's do you have anything that you want to add to this part of the conversation? Any kind of announcements or anything like that from your end?
No, you pretty much covered it all. I was out last week. I had a sty or something in my eye. My whole eye was swollen shut, and it was a pretty miserable week all week last week. But it's I went to the doctor early because it just didn't feel right, and then by the time I had medicine, it was swollen shut. But I actually did get antibiotics and stuff, kind of on the quick side, so took it a while for it to go back down. But feeling a lot better this week. So anything, I'm pretty tough until it comes to like eye pain or tooth pain. Either one of those avenues, I'm pretty much a wimp. So
Okay, I hear you. Yeah, tooth pain is not something I ever want to deal with any more than I already have. But I will say this to our listeners: if all of a sudden I'm no longer part of the conversation, this is my on call week while we were recording, so just a heads up on that. So I could get called away, but let's go ahead. Let's thank Get Outdoors very quickly, and then let's bring our guest in.
sounds good.
Get Outdoors Pedal and Paddle is one of the largest canoe, kayak, and cycling retailers in the Southeast, with a huge selection of kayaks, canoes, bikes, and all the accessories needed to experience paddling and cycling comfortably and safely. Get Outdoors helps to expand and educate the paddling community through their free demos held on local lakes in the Greensboro, North Carolina area, and through in-store clinics and on the water courses and demos, and will even get your new boat rigged up for kayak fishing for you. Stop by the shop in Greensboro, North Carolina, or visit them online at shopgetoutdoors.com to be wowed by their selection.
All right, so in our last episode with Andrew Hayes, we got a question from a listener that was asked us to define a fishing kayak, and we went around that issue. You can go back and listen to that one and hear our definitions. But I went and I looked into the name, and I was like, that's an interesting last name. I want to know if that's actually his last name or if that's something else. And it was not. It was a business, and it was Bass Raft. And now I know why he asked that question. But we are going to dive into Bass Raft and some other things with Joey, and I am going to see if I remember how to pronounce this correctly, Eichelberger, and we are going to dive into that. Joey, man, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So go ahead and introduce yourself to our listeners and tell us who Joey Eichelberger is.
Yeah, so I'm 20 years old from the Eau Claire, Wisconsin area, and been fishing, well, pretty much as long as I can remember, but not like seriously until like the past couple of years. And yeah, Bass Raft is my business. I started making these composite carbon fiber Kevlar sandwich rafts, basically. Like you got a deck and two holes off each side. It's like 8.5 feet long and 5.5 feet wide. And put a trolling motor on the front with quick release. And that's the basics of the Bass Raft, and that's my endeavor I'm starting up.
Okay. Absolutely. Well, let's dive into that first. So before we get too far into it, 20 years old, are you in school?
No, I am just doing this instead, and we'll see where it goes. But just decide, you know what, I'll give this a try.
Okay, absolutely. So, to those of you who are watching on YouTube, we will get to see pictures of it and everything a little bit later. But for those of you who are listening, so the best way I can describe the Bass Raft from what I have seen on the website is, if you remember the Blue Sky Boat Works, the Blue Sky was think of that, but modular. So you can take it apart and get it to the lake and then put it together on the lake or wherever you're going to fish. So it is what it is named. It's a raft. It's really, I mean, it looks like something that, I mean, stability is not going to be an issue with this thing at all. But yeah, let's dive into it. Why Bass Raft? Why did you come up with this idea, and what made you decide to pursue it into something bigger?
It started out, my dad and me and my brother started a fishing club, a Christian club with some friends of ours, basically. Roughly, I think about 18 people fished it this year, but it started out, and we have any craft counts. It just no wake speeds. So like I fished the first year out of a kayak, and I could paddle and pretty much keep up with a boat on an idle. And so that wasn't really an issue, but Dad wasn't excited about trying a kayak. So he was like, there should be a way to just get the deck space and still be able to get in the bed of the truck. And so that first year, with my uncle, my brother, my dad, and me, made a raft. And he fished in the last tournament of the year, and he took second place out of it. But it definitely was like kind of inspiring. Like this is something unique, and the stability, like fishing experience, and it had a fairly shallow draft, so he took it into this like back pocket where none of the boats were going to get to. And me and one other guy who was kayaking, we had no clue he was in there because it's surrounded by trees. And like we come up there and he's like, oh, he's already fishing in there. No wonder he's been catching all these fish. Like we have a live leaderboard, and we're like, we can't see him. And it's like he keeps catching fish, and it's like, oh, there he is back there. But that's kind of how it started, was for the club, and just my senior project in high school. Decided to take it on and give it a redesign, and been working on them ever since. Just, I don't know, I've really enjoyed fishing out of it. So just like, well, I think we could make a go of this. But.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to jump in here because I've been looking at videos and pictures of it, and it's a pretty interesting concept. It's almost like the old pond hoppers, but it's one you can take apart and fit it places. And then the only other thing that comes to mind when I'm looking at it is it would be something perfect to put a duck blind on as well. So that's another avenue. I don't know if you guys have had anybody ask you about that, but you could put some stakes on it and put some grass on it and grass it in, and that just would be a killer setup for duck hunting too. There's a lot of people that go out of kayaks and open canoes, or like I was using the Ascend H12s to duck hunt out of, but that's would be another avenue that could be some potential sales as well. But it's a pretty cool concept, and I like the stability of the way it looks, and I like that it's portable. So you even see some pictures of it being car topped, and then you can put it on the bed of a truck. So that's a pretty awesome idea. And I'll also add, Cam asked you about school, but hats off to doing something different than everybody thinking that you got to go and you got to do this. Now, I have two kids. One, my son is 20 and my daughter is 18. And then my third kid, Ryder, is a junior in high school, so he's 16. So I got 20, 18, 16s, right close to your age. Now, they are in school, but if they wanted to do something like that, I'd be like, you know what, more power. Let's figure out how we can make it happen, because that's going to get you as far or further in life to be an entrepreneur and thinking and going outside the box. And then, once you test a few things, you may decide like, oh, you know what? I think I might need to go and get some business classes or something like that. You know what I mean? You may want to supplement that on down the road. But I tell my younger son all the time, just because our other two are going to college, he's more like, he's like, I want to start my own company and do this and that. I'm like, that's a good idea. Just figure out what you want to do and So my hat's off to you for doing something different and chasing a dream. And you can always go back and do other things and go to school. But cool concept.
Now is absolutely the time to do something like that. But yeah, so you were talking about how it looks, Robert. Let's go ahead and I'm going to let you take the wheel. And I'm going to go ahead. We're going to share the screen now so that people can see what this thing looks like. And Joey, we'll let you kind of talk about some of the features of it and all that good stuff. So Robert, I'm going to let you drive.
So there's a good picture of it there. So you can kind of see that. And then Joey, I'll let you kind of explain, the different components of it.
Yeah. Start with, so you have it's a 3x6 deck, and we've done it a couple different ways, but I put some, like, this one has a handrail track by ram mount on the sides, and then I have 2 tracks up front for my fish finder on a transducer pole. And I run a Motor Guide XI3 on mine. That spot lock is a really nice feature. Just anywhere, current, wind, like it's a pretty good trolling motor. I've been pretty happy. It's definitely on the budget end of spot locks, but it definitely gets the job done, and it's been a pretty awesome trolling motor. And otherwise, there's storage inside the floats, so the main part is hollow, and so that's where I put all my tackle and my batteries. And so I like to fish basically a clean deck, like most, as long as I'm not slopping poles down on there, because sometimes I get in a hurry. But I like to fish just kind of wide open deck space, because then, like, if I'm just kick the motor off and I'm slowly drifting in, I can fish any direction out of it, like 360. It's stable enough, like even like frog fishing, just like your hook sets, you don't have to worry about it. And I, like you showed there, that's my car there. So when you go to pack it up, we got the quick release on the trolling motor, and then for your fish finders, they all have different either track mount, quick release, whatever you can get. So you just basically strip everything down, and then there's 2 locking pins on each side, and then the floats fold up, and then you strap them with a bungee. So that, and then it goes upside down on top of my car. And then so it stays in one piece, but it's a little slimmer profile. And it's only 67 pounds is that one there. So it's pretty manageable, the car top. And the farthest, I did fish one tournament this year down in Missouri, and that was a 10-hour drive with it car topped, and it did all right. It was excess of 40-mile-an-hour wind gusts a couple days, so you definitely felt it up there, but it's like it did all right, and it car tops pretty well.
That's awesome. Yeah, 67 pounds is right about where my last kayak was, so that's definitely manageable. I can't remember exactly where it was on the website, but you had it was like a tagline or a catchphrase or something, and it was like the better fishing kayak or something like that. How has that's what it is, the stand-up fishing kayak. I guess how long has Bass Raft been available, and what kind of reception has it received?
So it's been available since April of this year. So this is our launch year. It's everyone, or most of the people I've talked to have been fairly favorable to it. I fished the most recent tournament I fished was a Kayak Adventure Series, Wisconsin River Fest. And then afterwards, it sparked a good discussion in the recap video. As far as Drew Gregory and Jake were kind of talking, like, he's just like, he approved it ahead of time, but he's like, it's going to be a winter discussion between a lot of tournament directors on kind of defining, like, what is a kayak? Is it like length limitations? Is it width and whatever? Because he's like, he thought it was really cool, but he's like, at some point, like, you can't just make a 17-foot rotomolded bass boat and call it a kayak and get away with it. Like, there's got to be a limit somewhere. So it was a good conversation, and it's been fairly favorable, but some people are a little bit like, what line do you draw? Because it's not a clear, like, what makes a fishing kayak, because some of them are really heavy and some of them are like 14 feet long and like pretty wide, and it's like, and then the guy's trailer on like a bass boat, and it's like other times it's like, well, yeah, Bass Raft is wider than any kayak on the market. It is definitely wider, but it's shorter. But it's like, yeah, it was, but overall it's been a pretty favorable reception with the people I've been in.
That Drew Gregory guy, you have to watch out for him.
Yeah, Drew Gregory is a great guy, but so I have not been bashful about my viewpoints on this, because we're at the point now where, like, I know that Chad Hoover will disagree with me, and I know that others will disagree with me. But we're at the point now where there is absolutely zero reason that a 12-foot John boat should not be allowed in a kayak fishing tournament. And the fact that it's not marketed as a kayak is not a valid reason. So like it irks me that something like this does get like questioned. And I'm gonna get even higher on my high horse here. So I am really glad, Joey, that your reception so far has been very positive, for the most part. But so we had another guest on. I think this was actually before Robert came on as co-host. That I mean, he was getting laughed out of forums and stuff for his ideas and what he made. And it's like, you as bass anglers, you are constantly begging for innovation. And when somebody has an idea that is genuinely different, it may not be the best idea ever. It may not be it may not be the next big thing, but whenever somebody has something that you have never seen before, you make fun of him and bully him to the point where, like, he can't market anymore. And it's like, as bass anglers, we've got to be better than that. And when somebody comes out with something that is actually genuinely different, let's offer constructive criticism. Let's work on getting this product to be the best that it is, because it may not be the best for me, but it will be something for somebody. And if we can leave it out there in a positive light, somebody's going to enjoy it. And just because you kayak bass anglers are becoming a little bit of elitists doesn't mean that somebody with a genuinely great idea or even just different idea should be mocked or laughed at. All right, I'm done with my rant. I am getting off my high horse now, and I'm going to let Robert bring the tension down a little bit.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I'm good with that. I like that viewpoint. And also, too, I just want to add in there, everybody knows I'm just joking about Drew. So he's a good friend of the show, and I've stayed with him before on some tournaments and some houses. So you're not going to find much better people than Drew Gregory. So I'm glad that he, looked at the the Bass Raft and was like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, let's do it, but we're going to have to talk about it later. That's exactly what he should have done. And should something different be talked about and discussed? Yeah, but if that blue sky contraption can be considered a kayak, there's no reason that this is kind of similar along similar lines, and basically it's just two 8-foot kayaks with the platform in the center. Like I love the idea, and I think that a lot of other people, when they see it, will love the idea. So keep chasing that and keep marketing it as the stand-up fishing kayak, because and if you have to find a paddle maker to make you a long stand-up paddle, like a paddle board, and maybe that goes with it. Find somebody to make the paddle for $30 or $40 and go up on the price by $50 and make $10 on the paddle too. And a paddle comes with it, and nobody can say it's not a paddleable kayak, even though most people are going to put a motor on it. So
yeah,
I got a motor.
I actually.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Oh, I actually did make a paddleboard paddle for it. I mean, I did make it out of carbon fiber, so it's a little pricey, but
right.
A unique thing about that, since you mentioned it, we decided to make it dual purpose, and instead of a T handle on the end, we just put a spike on it, so it'll double as a manual spike anchor. And then you can have your paddleboard paddle, and
that's awesome.
Actually, use it quite a bit because the motors aren't great in the real thick vegetation, so you can just paddle or push pull, and then you got a manual spike too. But
yeah, no, I love it because there's a place for a spike as well, and then you don't have to get a micro power pole or something like that. But
I can see push pulling this thing through the marsh for some reds and flounder and stuff. Like that would be a killer platform for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's a great idea. I'm glad Drew was like, yeah, bring it on. And, that kayak adventure series is a different deal altogether. And I'm glad that he allowed it. And I'm sure there will be just some discussion about it, but I hope to see more of them showing up at tournaments and people using them, because whatever it takes to get people out on the water, that's really where it is, to get people out on the water doing stuff and off of phones and screens. And so I think it's a great idea.
Absolutely.
So let's go back to the actual what it's made out of: carbon fiber, Kevlar. So you and your dad came up with that. Did you come up with how did you come up with the whole material and process that you're using, and how did that come about? Because to be quite honest, when you said I forgot what you said, it was 60 something pounds.
67 was mine.
67 pounds, because when I looked at it, I was like, holy crap, how'd he get that on top of his car when I'm watching the video? But 67 pounds, for as big as that is super light for the floor space that it has and the size of it. So tell us a little bit about that and the testing of it, and how you finally ended up with that.
Yeah, it started, my uncle kind of told me about composites, like you can fiberglass and over a foam core. So that's what we did the first three out of, it's hard to keep track of because some I only redid half of it, but it was about 3 anyway. We're all fiberglass, and this most recent one I did out of carbon fiber Kevlar, because the fiberglass was wearing through, which is why I did the Kevlar, because it's way more. There's a reason they make bulletproof vests out of Kevlar. It's right. Really can take a beating, but it's got some interesting strength properties. But yeah, here's a sample I have. I can kind of show you. So that's kind of a cutaway of the deck that I made. So basically how you achieve that super lightweight is you have a foam core, and I just use for the deck just a regular 2-inch styrofoam like you get for under slab concrete, and you rough it up a little bit so it gets a better bond. And then I have laminate of 2 layers carbon fiber on each side, and then finish off the edges and stuff. But basically the foam is really good under compression. Like you can't squash it because the carbon fiber distributes the weight, and then it's got enough space in there that when you like put weight on the top of it, the bottom, it puts all that strength on the carbon fiber, which is really good under tensile strength. So it's just, you get a really rigid, solid part, but it's really lightweight because a lot of it is just foam. And that's how it's so lightweight. And as far as testing, it's mainly been, kind of trial and error with those first fiberglass ones, and just decided to make it extra strong with the Kevlar on my raft, and it's held up pretty good. And I just decided, I'm just going to fish a bunch of tournaments with it, because if you're fishing a tournament, that's one moment where you're not carrying a bunch of gear pretty much at all. You're just time. You hurry it out of the water, drag it up the ramp, push it back down, and it's held up really well. I have done some milder tests on just styrofoam and just beat it with a hammer until it breaks and kind of see, that was pretty strong. But it's one of the things on the list is get some actual like testing with actual metrics behind it, because I want to know how to quantify, okay, this,
right,
how many, it's not just how many hits with a hammer it took to bust it, but it's more like how many pounds of pressure it can handle and whatever. But
right. So do you have numbers on a weight capacity yet?
So I have weight capacity as 550 pounds, and that should be like, with all your gear, you should be able to still fish at that level. My rough math says it should float somewhere around 800 pounds, but that's one of the things, got to try to just sandbag it down and see how much weight it'll actually take, because it's like, well, you got to have freeboard. You can't just have it like sitting at the water line. Like, you got to have some freeboard and still be able to fish. But I'm confident at 550 pounds it'll still have enough freeboard that you can get around and fish.
And some of it is like not just will it float, but will it move? Like,
yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. So let's talk cost. So if someone wanted to go and look into these, maybe they wanted to get one for themselves, what is the cost of entry for this thing, and then what kind of options are there? How does the cost go up and down and all that good stuff?
So right now we're currently kind of doing a website rebuild, and we haven't finalized prices on like next year, and we're trying to get some bundle packages, like buy it with a motor set up, but we haven't got there yet. It's in the works, but the base model, it's 585, no, not 585,000, 5,850. And it's not for everyone. It's priced just above those most expensive fishing kayak you can get that doesn't come with a motor, but it's, except for if you compare it to like the Apex watercraft, that like they have their TYR, $10,000 for a fishing kayak. That's like, I don't know, some people, it's probably an awesome kayak. It looks really awesome, but it's one of those things that you gotta, the material cost input it's expensive. So you still gotta have your margins, but
awesome. Yeah.
Kevlar is not cheap. Carbon fiber is not cheap. And the foam really adds up as well. So, and then you got to paint it and all that good stuff. There's definitely a lot of material cost there. And I wanted to ask, just because we may have, listeners that might be disabled, can't stand up all day. Is there a seat option? Or is it going to be kind of like throw the cooler on there and sit on the cooler, kind of like a stand-up paddleboard?
It's what we have right now is that just put a cooler on there. I mean, you can put tracks on there and tie down a good lawn chair if you want something more comfortable. I did talk to Josh Wilkie, and his source. He makes those source crates. It's another kayak crate. He said he's thinking about coming out with one with a swivel seat on top, and that would be like perfect for this. Like if you want a seat, just get the source crate with a swivel seat. But he's still researching that, so
right,
it's not available yet. I can't say that's what you should do, but that's as far as right now. It's focused on the stand up, because like if you watch most of the pros on like any of the live streams or the anything afterwards, they don't sit down much at all. So that's kind of what we're focusing on.
All right. Well, Robert, do you have any other questions on Bass Raft itself before we pivot?
Good to go, man. I love it.
All right. So let's pivot then, and let's ask about your faith. So let's get your faith story. What is it you believe in, and how did you come to believe that?
Yes. I've just grown up in a Christian home. Is just always been read the word, and it's always kind of believed it in my heart and stuff. But it's really, with this business, it's really been a growing experience as far as it's been good. Like Dad's make sure to keep me motivated to seek the Lord at kind of every step of the way. Just like that proverb, unless the Lord builds the house, those who build it labor in vain. It's like we want to make sure we're in the Lord's will in this, that we're not just laboring in vain. And also just general stuff on this business. It's been really growing as far as pushing me out of my comfort zone, and like marketing is not where I come from, and it's just like, oh, that sounds really fun. Unlike like the engineering, the stuff is like, oh, that's the fun stuff. Like tweak it, design it, make it better. And they're like, I can't just do the one. I have to do both of them. So it's just it's been a nice growing experience in that regard, as far as just general and just trying to keep perspective on the long-term goal is not this life and the materials, this life, anything. It's like it's that we have that goal, the prize set before us that we should fix our eyes on too. So it's not just keeping that in perspective is not like I don't need to make $1 billion business. It's not as if I can make a living at it, then it's a success. But it's kind of, I'd say
Absolutely.
a general recap, but
all right. And you mentioned your fishing club earlier too, and that it was a Christian club. Go ahead and shout that out and kind of talk about that a little bit. What does it mean to be a Christian club, and all that good stuff?
Yeah, it's been really fun club to fish in, just because of that camaraderie. But how we have it set up right now is you have to have someone vouch for you basically to get in. And there's like, if you're new, you can we can set up times to meet you and stuff ahead of time. But and it's also family oriented, as far as we have a lunch break. Like we have kind of period 1 lunch break and period 2, and it's good fellowship, hangout time. Like you just not just there for the fishing. Like families come, you get to know all our families, And then also a big part of it being Christian club is we have it just a text message based leaderboard. We do unlimited weight for the most part. And then it's all in the honor system. It's like, and you get to know these guys and you get to trust them. Like, they're not going to just send in stuff just to win a tournament, because everyone's there to get better as a fisherman, and just good camaraderie and that.
That's awesome. All right. Well, there are a couple questions that we ask everybody before we dive into what's your favorite. And I'm gonna ask, what fishing story or memory means the most to you?
Ooh, there's a lot. I mean, if you put time on the water, then you got a lot of good stories. But one of my favorite probably is we were on vacation out west in Idaho. We found some forest road that, like, we looked on this booklet they had at the vacation cabin. They're like, this lake, it's got fish, it's good fishing at this, but they're like, it's like, I don't remember whether it was Google Maps or they're like, it's 7 miles but a 45-minute drive up this road. And it was just like larger chunk rock, not just like a gravel road. And we had the 15-passenger van driving up there, and made it up there. And then it was like a 2-mile hike, and there were some big cutthroat trout in there, just throwing MEPS 0 on a 5.6 light spinning rod that I hiked up there. And then, I don't know, just walking around the lake, and there's a creek coming out that was pretty narrow, but it was deep and had lily pads on the edges, which was really unique. And I'm catching trout on these lily pads and like way up in the mountains. That was probably one of the best. One of my better fishing memories. It was just the adventure, and seeing some like big trout up there was a lot of fun. But
yeah, we might need to get some GPS coordinates on that. Sounds pretty good.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
So another question: when you're out on the water, what are you usually talking about or conversating about if you're out there with some fishing buddies or a group of people in your fishing club?
Oh, I'm fairly competitive, so usually it depends on the skill level of the other angler in the boat. If they're like pretty comparable, I mean, I'm usually just pretty focused in on fishing, but otherwise, I mean, I've done some other opens with a buddy of mine, and then we don't talk a whole lot usually except about fishing. Okay, I got this bite here, or
yeah,
whatnot, but I
understand that.
Yeah, I'm pretty much just talk fishing. But my brother, on the other hand, he's way more conversation on the boat, but it's fun. There's all types on there, and it's like if someone is talking, I can get talking, but I usually just kind of fairly quiet, but
All right. Well, with every guest, we have a segment that we call What's Your Favorite? It's pretty self-explanatory. We're going to ask your favorite in a few different categories, and we're going to get that started right after this.
It's time for What's Your Favorite? Powered by Naqua Adventure Gear. Power that fits in the palm of your hand.
All right, so this is What's Your Favorite, powered by Naqua Adventure Gear. Go over to naqua.com, check out what they've got, and see what it is you're looking for, and then email info@naqua.com and let them know that Faith and Fishing podcast sent you. Let them know what you want, and just see what happens. See if it's worth your time. I bet you it is. All right. So our first, what's your favorite question? What's your favorite scripture?
Oh, that's hard. I don't know if I can pick. I mean, it's it's all God breathed and really good. But I don't know. I don't know if I can decide one specifically. But
I don't know that we've ever had anybody answer that question with the whole Bible before.
I like it.
I do
What about do you have a favorite Bible story? Like a Bible story that sticks with you?
One that I've come to appreciate a little more. Me and some friends used to do a little sword fighting, like with martial arts training swords on the side, and just some of those stories of David's mighty men and what God enabled them to do is just, you appreciate it in a different sense after you've done it. Just like not very good at it, but you dabble a little bit and it's like, wow, what God enabled them to do is just incredible. But
absolutely, that's awesome. All right, so what is your favorite fish to catch?
I'd have to say a smallmouth bass. They just, especially like midsummer, they got so much fight in them. It's like peel and drag, and you gotta watch it not to let them get caught in logs because they're just running, but you don't want to break them off either. And they got so much fight. It's a lot of fun.
And what about your favorite fish to eat?
Ooh, that I'm not super picky on that, but one of the ones up there we've done is bullhead. We've done that before. Not recently. I guess we should get out there and do it again. But just bullhead, there's basically a small catfish, and they're a lot easier to clean. If you catch the right size, you can clean them in just a couple minutes. And so I guess it tastes similar to kind of tuna when you can it up like we do. So it's
okay.
I'm pretty big on like any sort of fish, seafood. It doesn't matter too much. I guess the other one is smoked salmon. If it's smoked well, like I don't know, you can't. It's hard to beat smoked salmon, but
okay, that is interesting. I don't know that I've ever heard of anybody eating bullhead catfish. Like that's for one, it's like you don't really think about there being enough meat on a bullhead to eat because they're like 85% mouth. But that's interesting. All right, so what is your favorite fish to fish for? So like, what's your favorite to target?
Ooh, it's probably largemouth because it's smallmouth is the funnest to catch, but learning to target them is difficult. And like frog fishing for largemouth is fun. It's simple. Like you can pretty much get bites as long as there's something to frog. Not necessarily the ticket of the day, but frog fishing is one of my tops. So I'd have to say largemouth.
All right.
You can't go wrong with that answer. So what about this is always an interesting one. What about your favorite fishing snack?
Ooh, I don't eat enough snacks when I'm fishing. That I don't know. Definitely eat a lot of peanut butter sandwiches, or I guess probably my favorite is it's basically make a peanut butter sandwich with a tortilla instead of a bread, and you just roll it up. It's a little not quite as dry. You can get it down quicker, and it still tastes good. But
That's awesome. So one of our guests that we've had on in the past, Matt Souders, what he does is he takes a bag of tortillas and a jar of peanut butter, and he just takes the tortilla and like scoops the peanut butter out on the tortilla and eats it like that instead of doing the pre-made ones. So yeah, that's I've definitely heard of the tortilla and peanut butter before. I'm gonna have to try it. All right, so we don't need GPS coordinates or secret spots or anything like that, but what's your favorite body of water to fish?
it'd probably have to be Silver Lake. I guess it's not quite 300 acres, but it's got smallmouth, largemouth. It's just really, it is clear water. Which I don't know. It doesn't always treat me well, but I like the clear water. And it's got pads and docks and rock and sand. Like it got a really good variety, so you can break it down fairly, I guess, quicker. It depends on the day, but there's some real healthy fish in there too. Like this spring when we had our tournament, my brother caught a 5-pound 11-ounce smallmouth out of there. It was 22 inches long, and it was like
Wow.
by far the biggest fish we've ever landed in our club. And another guy caught almost 5-pound largemouth out of there that same day. So it's like, it's got big fish, but it's just real healthy. And that's probably my favorite lake. And it's probably no one's ever heard of it, but
That's a good thing though. So what's your favorite lure?
oh, I could be boring and just say Wacky Senko, because I mean that's probably the one I get the most bites on, but I don't know. Probably if it's the right bite, I would say jerkbait. A jerkbait it's really fun to catch them on a jerkbait. It's I mean,
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
It's not. I wouldn't say it's my favorite. I wouldn't say it's my favorite like technique, but it's probably my favorite bite. Like whenever they're on it, it's so aggressive. They will pull the rod out of your hand, and it's a lot of fun. Do you have a particular jerkbait that's your go-to?
I pretty much just fished Rapala jerkbaits. I don't really know. I guess I've barely fished some of the KVD, but I don't really have a go-to. I fished the Shadow Wrap Deep, the X Wrap, the just regular old Husky jerk, and then the KVD ones. And I don't know, I've caught fish on them all. I've tended toward the Shadow Wrap, the deep dive Shadow Wrap lately, but I guess it just maybe looks cooler and they got a better color for what I like in the clear water. I don't know. I don't have any real science behind it, I guess.
All right. Absolutely. And last but not least, what is your favorite time of year to fish?
I would say kind of that mid-May up here. That's where it kind of starts that, depending on the lake, is spawn, pre-spawn, kind of right in there. It's the most fun time to fish, but it's usually busy and can't find enough time to hit it at the exact right window. But if you do, you really get on them and it's a blast. So
Absolutely. All right, man. Well, we're going to start wrapping things up. What is coming up next for Bass Raft?
So we're working on coming out with a 2025 model and the packages and sports show schedule. We'll try to work on that because we did one this last year, and it was really good, and it's like, oh yeah, they try to book out so far ahead of time. It's like, gotta try to be thinking of that. So yeah, and then keep trying to. We got some YouTube videos on small lake day on the raft, we call them, on small lakes, where we're just gonna keep trying to, on the bunch of small lakes near New Auburn, just a little north of us, just try to break them down and just kind of, is it worth people going there? So we got some of that still coming, and just, yeah, work on that 2025 model and keep working on the website.
Absolutely.
Like,
do you have somebody that goes with you as like a photographer or like drone pilot or something for those videos, or do you do it all yourself?
I do it, the video myself, but sometimes I do have a guest come with me, and then I video them a little bit more.
Okay.
But I did get one drone shot of myself catching a pike, but it's like, you can only have it up there so long before it runs out of batteries, and you're like,
Right.
This looks like a fishy spot, and you try to, okay, get the drone up, and it just hovers and start casting. Like, okay, I got to try to cover water quick before it's, because I only have like 20 minutes on the battery left. But
yeah, that drone footage that you got during the kayak adventure series was pretty sick. All right. And if our listeners want to kind of follow you and follow Bass Raft, go ahead and plug, website, social media, YouTube, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so YouTube and Facebook is Bass Raft, and then Instagram is the Bass Raft, and then my personal, which is pretty much a secondary business page, is Joey Bass Raft on Facebook. And then you can find out, our website is bassraft.com, and we got all the information there. Contact if you want to get a hold of us, and that's all our socials.
All right. And I want to give you an opportunity to plug any sponsors or supporters, give shout outs, thank yous, anybody you want to do that kind of thing with, say thank you to, or give shout outs to. The floor is yours.
Yeah, so I want to definitely thank my dad. He's been very supportive of my endeavors, and definitely helping me out a lot with technical stuff with the website and stuff. And then my uncle, brother, and a couple of friends. We had a meeting the other day, and just on the Bass Raft, and because they all fished out of it, and they had a lot of good feedback. Brian, Justin, my uncle Dan, and my brother Anthony. So we just kind of keep them updated on emails, and they send thoughts and stuff. So that's been really nice, and just like to give them a shout out. And otherwise,
awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Joey, thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you for talking Bass Raft with us and all that good stuff. And we wish you all the best, man. We love to see young people getting into entrepreneurial type roles and seeing those new ideas come into the market and everything. And really hope that this kind of takes off for you and just continues to grow and helps grow the sport.
Yeah, man. Great job.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. All right. So Robert, that was an awesome one. And I think I am good on this one. I don't know that we need much of a recap, but I'll let you. You look like you have a thought that's twirling around up there.
No, I think it's a great idea. I like the whole platform. Glad to, like you said, see this young man out, chasing his dream and what he wants to do. And so I hope it works out. I think he's got a good idea. So, my hat's off to him.
Absolutely. You want to close us out in prayer, man?
Yeah, man. Let's do it. Dear Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for all the blessings that we have, and please watch over Joey and the Bass Raft Company and his fishing club, and guide them in the right direction and lead them down the path that he's on and the path that you want him to go. Please watch over us as we do our different activities for the week, and thank you for letting us do this podcast to reach other members of the fishing community and faith community. Please let our words and actions be pleasing to you this week, and draw the people that we come in contact with closer to you. And please forgive our sins. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right. Well, that is going to do it for this episode. Y'all take care, and God bless.
Sounds good. See you next week.
Thank you for listening to the Faith and Fishing podcast. Please consider supporting those that support us. Jade's Jigs lead-free finesse tackle. Use promo code FNF10 at jadesjigs.com for 10% off. Save your outdoors. Stop losing your gear. Use promo code FNFP15. SaveYourOutdoors.com for 15% off. Omnia Fishing. Check out Premium, Premium Pro, and their Ambassador program. Use promo code FNF10 for 10% off at OmniaFishing.com. And if it's your first order, use promo code FNF15 for 15% instead. Mr. B Lure Company. High-quality handmade baits made right here in the U.S. MrBLureCompany.com. Use promo code faithnfishn pod for 15% off your first purchase. Get outdoors, pedal, and paddle. Check them out at the shop in Greensboro, North Carolina, or at shopgetoutdoors.com for all your paddling and cycling needs. And Nocqua Adventure Gear, lighting, power, and all the connectors at Nocqua.com. Please rate, review, subscribe on whatever app you're listening on. That's going to do it for this episode. Y'all take care, and God bless.